We pick up our story after Petunia, with her pink trailer, moved to California. Back to the newspaper ad search. I'd never asked cooks for references, which this time was a great mistake. From Wyoming came an answer, and it sounded wonderful. She arrived with Canary in a cage, a yappy little dog, which our husky Kisco could have devoured in one bite, and a cigarette hanging from the corner of her mouth. We were already too close to the start of the season for me to change my mind. Also, after the first 2 days, we discovered she could really cook. However, we all missed the happiness in the kitchen, especially the two ski bums and the dishwasher who come back for another season. Why, compared to last year, one of them said, it's like a morgue in the kitchen. But she was clean, efficient, and a good cook, so we all stuck it out. Once in a while, I did notice when I came into the kitchen that she acted strangely, giving me a squinted look out of one eye. I thought nothing of it until one evening when our usually happy and bubbly ski bum, Bonnie, came running to me in the office in tears. There was a red streak down her cheek. She slapped me. That bloody cook slapped me. She's mad because the dishwasher hasn't shown up. I went into the kitchen to see if I could smooth things over. The cook looked up at me, squinting out of one eye. She was picking up the roast which had fallen on the floor. She then bent over and picked up a green pea from the floor and dropped it into a pan on the stove. I saw frozen peas all over the floor. I watched her in horror as she picked up one pea at a time and dropped them into the pot. Then I realized she's drunk. But how and where did she get anything to drink? I remembered that some guests had bottles of their own liquor in their rooms, where they'd often have a small party of their own. I quickly made my exit as the other ski bum said quietly, "We'll get supper on the table, Edna, and then get her to bed." Where's the dishwasher? I wondered. I knew he'd been skiing up at Arapahoe during the day. That's all I needed, I moaned. Bonnie in tears, the cook drunk, no dishwasher, and a full house of guests. After things quieted down in the kitchen and the cook was put back in her room, I plunged in and washed the dishes. 10 o'clock came, 10:30. The living room door opened and one of the ski instructors came in to see if any hanky-panky was going on, a favorite expression of his. "Have you seen our dishwasher?" I asked him. "He hasn't shown up at all." "Oh," he said nonchalantly, "I saw him over at the Red Ram in Georgetown with a good-looking blonde." I asked him, "Aren't you supposed to be at ski tip?" "It was a few sheets to the wind, Edna," he continued, "but he answered me all right. He said, 'I've got those people at ski tip wrapped around my little finger.'" Going to bed that night, I was steaming. Hearing the dishwasher drive in around 1 a.m., I knew what I'd be doing the next morning. I'd be not only firing the cook, but the dishwasher besides. I thought this is the first time I've ever fired anyone in my whole life. I also knew I'd be waking up to the fact that I would again be the cook. The season was close to the end anyway. The renewed laughter in the kitchen was great. So great we had a hard time keeping the guests out. The next fall it was back to the newspaper want ads. This time I would request references. Fortunately, one of our Denver guests dropped by in late summer. I mentioned to her my problem of finding a cook. "You should screen all the applicants," she told me. Since I work in Denver, I'll have them meet me there and screen them for you. Being a buyer for a big department store, I knew she'd had experience interviewing people. It wasn't long after the ad had been in the Denver newspapers that she called me. "I think I found the perfect cook for you, Edna. Get in your car and drive to Beaver Brook Lodge and Restaurant near Evergreen." I called ahead to make sure someone was home. A friendly male voice told me to park in the rear and go to the back door. It was an October day with leaves in fall colors, golden aspens and dark red oaks. A misty rain was falling. The hills above Evergreen were lost in a drifting fog. As I drove nearer, my car climbing and twisting up the mountain road, an excitement I never felt before came over me. I have a feeling, a premonition, I thought. I'm about to find the perfect cook. But I warned myself, don't be too optimistic, Edna. Beaver Brook Lodge was an old-fashioned log building with a sweeping veranda commanding a view for miles over the meadows and hills. Parking my car at the back, I walked up to a screen door and knocked. A short, jolly-looking fellow with white hair and a goatee opened the door and invited me in. "You look like a retired sea captain," I thought as I entered the kitchen. At a huge range stood a motherly-looking, white-haired lady. Since I'd called ahead, she knew who I was. She led me into the dining room and seated me at a table next to a large window. "I'm Mrs. Melhorn, and this is my husband Lloyd. Please call me Gert, as that's what I'm used to being called," she explained with a smile. "One can see the lights of Denver in the distance on evenings when we have clear weather," her husband told me. They were the owners and managers of the lodge. "Ah, this place is a lot like our ski tip," I exclaimed. "I feel right at home here." With no buildings to be seen anywhere, and with the rolling meadows, I felt like I'm back in pioneer days. Gert started asking questions in a comfortable way. Soon I realized that here was someone who knew more about not only cooking, but running a lodge business and handling the crew. She told me her husband had a job in Denver, but would come up on Saturdays in time to carve the prime rib. Would I mind if she did the ordering? The menu she worked out so that we'd order enough to go right through to January. "Great," I said, "but how can we haul in so much? Where can we store it all?" "Well, you tell me you're building a new wing with a much bigger kitchen. If the man who's doing the building is any good, he can build you a walk-in cooler onto the kitchen." "Tell you what," Gert said, "I'll come up this weekend and tell him just what's needed. As far as hauling all the stuff up, didn't you know? These wholesale meat and produce houses will haul it free to your door." Here I'd been driving Loveland Pass through blizzards and God knows what, and buying at retail stores like Safeway. "All you need to do," Gert said, "is give the wholesale companies your store license. You won't pay any tax either." "Tax? Store license? I don't have any store license," I told Gert. "You mean you've been in business all these years and haven't had a license? How on earth did you get away with it?" Gert was astounded. "Well, we've been busy with other things like skiing, mining, and ranching in the summer with horses for ourselves and friends. Nobody ever asked us about licenses." "Well, you can tell anyone who comes asking that you're a dude ranch," Gert assured me. "Dude ranches don't have to have a license. At least they haven't needed any up until now." She also told me that if we ever wanted to put in a real bar, we'd have to have a license. She pointed out that with a store license and buying at wholesale, we would save enough not to mind the extra bookwork. Max and the carpenter followed Gert's directions. We soon had two big freezers and a walk-in cooler. She redesigned her kitchen, creating a no man's land area for herself. No guest would walk through and get in her way. We worked out 2-week menus to rotate. Any guest staying that long would be served something new each night, except on Saturday, which was always prime rib night. The produce and hotel supply salesman came. Then came the big trucks with everything we needed. In November came the bill. $1,400. I almost fainted. Seeing me begin to have qualms, Gert laughed and told me to relax. Except for the meat, fresh vegetables, and dairy supplies, the next order didn't go in until the 1st of March.